It's often said that Macs can make the best PCs. I know that sounds a little confusing, but if you think about it, it does make sense. Macs have great build quality, they've got speedy and powerful internals, and with the help of Boot Camp Utility, you're able to install Windows on your Mac and basically dual boot 2 different operating systems on the same machine. But there's also another way. With the help of virtualization, you can not only run Windows on your Mac, but you can run Windows with your Mac. I'm Robert Rosenfeld of the Apple Circle, and let me show you how to do just that. All right, so to get started, we're gonna need some special software that's gonna be able to virtually install Windows on our Mac, almost like it's in its own self-contained little virtual PC. To do this, there's a couple of different programs you can use. There's a couple of free options and paid options we'll leave linked down below. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm gonna be using Parallels for Mac just because this program has been around for a while. It's a trusted piece of software, it works very well, and it makes the whole Windows install process a little bit easier than some of the free alternatives. So to get started, let's head to the Parallels site here where you'll see 2 options. You can either buy now a license key for Parallels because it's a paid piece of software, or we can download a 2-week free trial by clicking this blue button. We're gonna do that. You kinda wanna make sure you like the software and it's gonna work well before you wanna commit your hard-earned cash. I totally get that. So we can use Parallels here for 2 weeks for free without having to enter in a license code. So let's go ahead and click that blue download button, click allow, and the installer is going to download to our Mac, and then we can continue with the installation once this wraps up. So once the installer is finished, we can come up here to the little downloads icon in Safari, and then see where it says Parallels DMG, we can double click that. And while that opens, I'm just gonna go ahead and close Safari to keep things a little cleaner here on the desktop. And here we go, we're gonna get this big icon here for Parallels Desktop 15 for Mac, this install cardboard box, we're gonna double click that. And then we're gonna get a prompt here to allow it to install. Because this is from the internet, macOS wants to warn us, this is a third-party piece of software, it's not from Apple. Are you sure you wanna run this install process? In this case, yes, Parallels is a trusted name, it's from a trusted developer. We can go ahead and click open and give our kind of seal of approval to continue the install. Next, we're going to have to read and accept the software license agreement. You're also going to be opting into Parallels by sending some anonymous data. You can opt out if you don't want to, but we're going to keep ourselves opt-in for demonstrational purposes here. And then we're going to need to enter our Mac password. I will do that right now. Hit OK, and the install will continue. So it looks like Parallels just finished up and the program is starting. We're gonna get a little alert here from macOS saying this program wants to send us push notifications. Do we want to allow that? We can go ahead and click allow. And then we're going to get a window here that's gonna ask us how we wanna download and install Windows 10. Obviously, Windows is probably the most popular software you're gonna wanna use and wanna run virtually on your Mac, but you could use other things like Ubuntu and other Linux distributions, but that's a whole separate video. In this case, yes, we wanna download the latest copy of Windows 10 automatically. So we're gonna go ahead and click this blue button here to install Windows. And now Parallels is doing its thing, and it's actually grabbing the latest copy of Windows 10 from the web and doing all the work of installing the ISO file automatically. So typically with other pieces of software, you have to go out and find this special Windows installer file yourself. You have to burn a custom DVD. Parallels makes it a little bit simpler because it'll actually go out to the web and find this file for you and download it for you automatically. It just makes it a little bit simpler. The installer is a little bit more seamless, and it's one of the reasons why I like using Parallels to do all this virtualization on the Mac. So the installer here for Windows 10 is gonna be about 5.4 gigabytes. So it's gonna go ahead and do its thing in the background. It's gonna download, you can still use your computer. And depending on how fast your internet connection is, the installer is gonna take a little bit of time. So in my case here, it's gonna take about 20 minutes or so. So grab a snack, grab a cup of water, watch some YouTube videos, and then come back once this finishes up. All right, so the Windows install just finished. It took about 20 minutes or so. And now that that Windows installer file is downloaded, Windows is going to install on this computer kind of as usual, just like you were gonna install it on any old regular PC tower or laptop. We're gonna be prompted here for access to our camera. I'm gonna go ahead and grant Parallels access to this so Windows can use my camera. And also I'm gonna give it access to my microphone. And now we're gonna let Windows do its thing, and we're gonna basically run through the regular old Windows install. And here we go. This is full Windows 10 running in your Mac. And I can take this whole Parallels window here and I can scale it down. I can just shrink this down a little bit, and then I could run Internet Explorer, I could run Microsoft Office, whatever Windows program you need to run, you can do it right in this virtual machine, which is super cool. Again, a couple of caveats to this. You are going to have to eventually buy Parallels. The trial does not last forever, and you are going to have to activate Windows 10 with a legitimate product key. You can use it for a trial basis, but it's not gonna work forever without you activating it. So just kind of remember that going into it so you're not completely locked out of your machine after the trial period ends. And a couple other things I wanna mention before we wrap things up. Something I like about Parallels is document syncing. So here on Windows 10, you can see that it automatically brought in my screen recording from my Mac. I can also click this Mac Files little folder here, and I can access all the files on my Mac. This is basically everything that Finder has in my Windows computer as well, which is super easy to share documents back and forth. But it's also cool is, of course, this is a setting you can turn on, it's on by default, is the synchronization of desktop. So for example here, if I go into Windows and I create a new document, do a text document, I'll just call this Apple Circle, for example. It not only creates here on my Windows desktop, but if I go out to my Mac, that same file is also there as well. That's super cool. Something else that's cool is the ability to change how much resources I want to put behind this Windows computer. If I'm running just Office and a couple low-level programs, I don't really care. It can kind of have 2 gigs of RAM, not a lot of hard drive space, the bare minimum. But if I want to do something a little bit more intensive, I want to give it maybe 8 gigs of RAM, I want a more fluid experience, I want to have more hard drive space, I can customize that. I can go in here to Parallels, to this little gear icon here in the upper right, and I can click on that. And then if I go to the hardware tab, I have the option here to give more resources to the computer. So if I go to CPU and memory, I can give it more processing power. I can give it more memory, how much RAM I want it to have. I can go here to advanced to have even more options. Obviously, I can't do this while the machine is up and running. I have to shut it down and basically change those things and reboot it. But I do have the option to do that as well. So if you want to give it more processing power, you want to give it more disk space, you can do that with a couple of clicks and you're good to go. And that's it. You now have macOS and Windows 10 running side by side in harmony, and you now have the option to choose which piece of software you want to run on each OS. Sometimes things just run better on Windows and vice versa. Also, if you guys have changed your mind, maybe you want to give Windows full access to all the processing power your Mac has to offer, and you want to go the bootcamp route, we will leave a link down below to the video that we have that'll show you step by step exactly how to get all that set up. And besides that, that's it. I'm Robert Roosevelt, the Apple Circle, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.